Hey there, welcome to SaaS Unbound, brought to you by SaaS Group. I'm your host, Anna Dana, and this is the show where we chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business a success. And today with me is David Nellessen, CTO, co-CEO, co-founder of Site, an AI engine that discovers real estate development potentials in real time. They are VC backed and have a very ambitious goal of using AI to analyze the economic and ecological potential of land throughout Germany. So it's super cool to have you here. And one of the reasons is that I know nothing about this space. So it's really, really cool to learn. So welcome.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, Anna. So I'm looking forward to this episode.
Awesome. All right. And first of all, I've got to say, I think that's the longest title I've ever seen. So how do you how do you manage all that? You're a CTO and co-CEO.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm the co-founder because I'm founded the company, and this is of course something you also want to show basically. And my main focus within the company is a tech. So I'm leading the product tech department. So I'm the CTO. But I'm also responsible, besides that, for a couple of, let's say, topics that would normally be in the role of the CEO, which is mainly my co-founder, Matthias, but some of the responsibilities, like, for example, investors relations and fundraising, I do that. And this is why I added this third title to my LinkedIn profile of a co-CEO.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So let's maybe get a bit of your background too. How do you get into the AI space and sustainable urban development altogether?
Yeah, so my background is a completely different one. So I'm from a city of Münster in Northwest and moved to the south to study math in Freiburg. And there I was researching very abstract stuff, quaternionic Keller manifolds. But I also had always a practical side in me, and I founded my first company back then during studies. Was a small web development agency in 2005. We already founded with a friend of mine, and it was not very successful, but I learned how to code and also did my first entrepreneurial steps. And then in 2012, I moved on to Hamburg and co-founded a startup called Familonet. And this was a very cool and helpful experience for me. So it was a completely different startup topic that we do now, a B2C app, a family app. And there I basically went through the entire journey from founding over multiple financing rounds to the exit. And after that, I still worked for the new owner for 3 more years. And after that, I took a year off and traveled the world together with my girlfriend in an old camper van, which was an adventure by itself. And during that journey, I met my very old friend Matthias on Sri Lanka. It was half coincidence, I would say, and we met there. And his background is he's an experienced architect and also an entrepreneur. So he found his own architecture company, became a partner of a large architecture company called Maas and Partner in Münster, and to also understand the background of Site, one needs to understand where this is coming from. And basically, Maas and Partner, they are not a typical architecture firm, but they work together with real estate developers in early phase because they know the building law very well, and they know how to calculate. And basically, if you want to know what can you do with a property, then they can answer this question very quickly in early phase. But it was always a lot of work still for the architects, because you need to check the local building law is different everywhere. You need to get zoning plans. If there are no zoning plans, you often even have to drive there, because you need to know how are the buildings next to the site that you want to develop, what are the eave side, the ridge heights, the volumes next to it. And after all that, the architects make a small, let's say, model and a small study. And at the end, this helps basically to decide, how worthy it is to develop this property or not. And one of the main figures that comes out of this first study is basically the floor space that you can generate on a property. And this depends on so many things and so much data. And the idea of Matthias was, when we met on Sri Lanka, where the first ideas arise, that it should be possible, or would it be possible, with the power of data and machine learning and AI, with all these modern technologies, to automate this process. And that was the original idea of SITE, to basically answer this question. What is on a property? What can you do? How can you develop it in real time? And of course, from then on, it developed much further, but this is where it all got started.
Okay, wow, that sounds really exciting, and you seem super excited about it. So, how did you get so excited about architecture? Did you have some kind of interest before, or was it your co-founder that fired you up like this?
A mixture of both. Of course, Matthias motivated me a lot, but I also had a lot of interest in. So after my previous startup, which was a B2C company, so my interest was really, so the next thing I want to build is a B2B product. And also as a techie, I'm interested, of course, in, let's say, more these deep tech solutions where there's a lot of value being generated from the technology. And at the same time, I always found real estate and architecture also very interesting, because especially of one fact that I realized at some point in time, because as a software developer, you are creating, similar to an architect who's building a building, and as a software developer, you build software. And what's fascinating about software is that with very little resources, as one person, you can create something that is of value for potentially millions of people. So, but at the same time, software is also very fragile in the today. If you don't touch it for a year or two, maybe you get kicked out of the App Store, or there are some security issues, and you always need to keep it up to date, and also keep it up to date with the demands of the customers. And this is different when in architecture and buildings. So it's also the creative process of building that requires much more resources. But if you have this building built, then it stays for maybe 100 years or even longer. And this is what I find very appealing of that.
All right. Well, it's very interesting. I just yesterday thought about a comparison that, when you build something, a lot of founders think about a company as a building. They build it and then, it just lives. But then there are so many challenges to it. But then I kind of started getting deeper into this analogy, and I thought, but then you have leaky pipes, and then you have like windows creaked, and so it's definitely like a building.
That's true. That's a good comparison, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So, but like you said, you went a lot deeper, right? And now it's sustainable development, climate sensitive planning. When I first read climate sensitive planning, I thought, okay, what could that be? For me, like, climate sensitive planning is the fact that I decide that next country we're moving in should have a milder climate. So, what's what's in it for you?
Yeah, so to answer this, also I have to explain a little bit how the industry is currently
Yes, please.
changing. So of course the demand or the change in society towards more sustainability, it's everywhere, and also now coming to the real estate and construction industry, and it was not sustainable at all for the entire past, basically. So so it's always been working with these materials like concrete. I think only concrete uses 7% of the energy consumption of the world, to build concrete, so just building a building is not really sustainable in terms of the materials, but then also the regulations and also the subsidies in Germany, they were made in a way that old buildings were always demolished and then new buildings were built. Yeah, so you got basically for new buildings, you got a lot of subsidies, and it was intended that if there's a building that's maybe even okay, that it's demolished and then a new building is created. And this is one aspect that has recently changed. Yeah, so the subsidies and the regulations, they have changed. But there are also a lot of other aspects in terms of sustainability in building. So of course, how much energy consumption the building has, that depends on the materials you use, the isolation, the sources of energy. So do you have maybe geothermy, or do you still use gas? These kind of things. And another important aspect is also the seal surface. So basically, the land is not endless. Yeah, so we have limited. It's a limited resource, the land, and we also have to keep this in mind, that we don't seal more and more of the land. At some point, there won't be anything left, and at the same time, it's also negative for the cities, because soil sealing heats up the cities and water cannot drain and so on. So there are a lot of aspects that you have to take into account here when it comes to sustainability and building. And with Insight, we're trying to give this holistic view on the property. So first, what's on, how old is the building, what's the volume of the building, what's the energy consumption. But then also, if you want to build something, either something new, or you want to maybe extend the building with a new building, you want to renovate the old one, and so on. So what are maybe the energy potentials that you have on the building and on the property, for example, for geothermy. And we want to give this holistic view, both from a commercial side, but also from this sustainability side, which also becomes more and more a commercial aspect. Yeah. And this is what we're trying to cover all with Site. We're not 100% there where we want to be, but I think we already moved quite far in this direction.
That's super cool. That makes much more sense than mine. but yeah, I really loved how you said at first you were just adding this climate sensitivity and sustainability into the picture, but now it also adds up to the cost, to the value of whatever is being built. So that makes a lot of sense. Another question that when I read, I thought, why would that be there? Real time potential. So why is it real time? Is it really important to give this kind of information fast, like right here, right now? Wouldn't it be okay to get an information that was good a month ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is how it works now or in the past, you have to go to an architect or an energy specialist, and they will create the study, and then maybe a month later you get the results. But yeah, of course, the world is moving way faster today. And also, yeah, for example, sometimes when you want to have the opportunity to buy a property, you have to decide quickly, maybe in the next days or even at the same day. So there's a demand or a necessity to get these answers quickly. And the second point is, of course, it makes it much cheaper. Yeah. So if you go to an architect, this study will cost yeah, a couple of €1,000 probably. And with a software solution, you can do it cheaper. So this is the use case when you look at one building, yeah, delivering these answers faster and cheaper. But there's also another aspect that gives a completely new opportunity. Yeah? So at the moment, we have more than 15 million buildings and properties in our database. And for every of those buildings, we know the building potential, the current utilization, and these sustainability factors and potentials. And we build a search engine, yeah, site search, where you can basically search within all these properties and search for properties that have a high building potential, that are interesting from maybe an energy point of view, and that are at the end suitable for what you want to develop. Yeah, for example, if you want to build in a certain region, you develop living space for elderly people, then you probably want a building with a certain size. You want certain amenities nearby, like maybe a doctor or something, and good infrastructure for public transport and so on. And we can identify then every property that's suitable for what you want to build. And this is basically the first digital way to do this kind of project acquisition that has not been existing before.
Wow, that's very exciting. I can understand how you're utilizing the data, but how were you able to get it in the first place? I mean, 15 million houses, right?
Yeah.
How did you get
Yes.
there?
So actually, the very first step, and this was also, if we go back to Sri Lanka, when we sit there, we ask the same question: is there data with which you can do it? And the first thing that we had to do is basically get this, yeah, what you would call as a digital twin of every building, and also get every property. Yeah, and this is luckily possible because the Vermessungsverwaltung, I think the English word is surveying agencies of the federal states. They have these cadastral systems where they track all the parcels and properties, and you can get this data from them. Yeah, and then you have basically, let's say, a two-dimensional view on the cities. And what we then put on top of it is LiDAR data. So this are 3D point clouds that are taken with laser scanners from planes. Yeah. Also, the governments, the states create this data and they publish it. And we combine this 3D data with the 2D data from the cadastral system to build digital twins of every property and building. And then we can exactly say what is basically, how does the building look? What is the roof shape? What is the volume? We can even calculate the exact floor space, the amount of floors, and so on. And we also know the usage type of the properties and the buildings. Yeah, is it residential, commercial, and so on? And this is the base of the data, yeah, so that we know what is built, yeah, and this is where you have to start. And then we started to train our AI to basically, learn the building law and, then make predictions on what's the maximum utilization of a property in terms of how high are you allowed to build, and how many floors are you allowed to build, and how much of the property are you allowed to cover with your building. And this is a very, let's say, complex AI model with a lot of features that we had to engineer that represent these different aspects of the building law. And then we train it in basically a two-step system. And the first is that we train the AI on every building and property. And then after that, it's basically able to make suggestion as an average building. And then we fine-tune it with labels that we created ourselves. So labels are basically example data that we give the AI to train and to learn. And these labels are created by our architects to basically represent how we want the AI to make the predictions. So this will be, of course, more highly utilized buildings, because you don't want to build the average. You rather want, if you now want to build something, it's usually you want to highly utilize the property. And also, of course, other aspects are taken into account. And we generated more today, around 10,000 of those labels, our experts, our own, and this is then the actual fine-tuning of the AI model. These are the main data sources, and a third data source that I didn't mention yet is satellite data and aerial images that we use to also detect aspects of the building and the property. So how old is the building, which areas are sealed, these kinds of things.
Okay, it starts to really shape up in my head. And I had a really fun conversation with another founder where I said, I asked him if it will be possible to maybe someday substitute customer support with AI. And he said it's easier to substitute lawyers with AI. And see here, yours could pass the bar probably. So
it's not. I wouldn't say it's a subsidy because at the end only the Bauamt can give you legal assurance that you can really build that. But also an architect cannot give you this legal insurance. So what we're trying to aim is really to in this very first phase, for project developer, for real estate agent, but also for architects to do quick evaluations, to compare different sites, to compare how would it look like if I renovate this property and maybe extend it with 2 floors instead of building something new, to compare these different variants. And this is more our goal, instead of replacing then, let's say, an architect or a lawyer.
Right. So you were just taking away this first layer of work, which is just a bunch of paperwork.
Yeah, and I would also say that we enable our users, to do something that wouldn't have been possible before. These quick, comparison of different variants, the search for the suitable site, for example. So this was very much manual work in the past. So
Right. Okay. Well, like they say, the best business ideas are not the completely new ones, but something that was already there, but you could just simplify it and make it so beautiful. So, perfect. I want to go into the operational side of it, and the leadership and the team, and the fundraising. So let's start with fundraising, right? I've read that you raised 2.6 million, right? A couple of years ago.
In our seed round last year, we raised 2.6 million, and we had another angel round before, which were 600,000. So yeah.
Right. Why did you decide to go that way? Like you, the tech, and your partner knows the architecture. Why don't you try to utilize that and the fact that you have already some experience building businesses? Why go to VCs?
Yeah, so it was clear from the very beginning that this is a very tech-heavy product. And so we need specialists from machine learning, geoinformatics, building law, architects, um, software engineers, back and front end. So there's a lot of expertise that has to come together. And yeah, this was pretty clear for us that this is not feasible to bootstrap, and yeah, this is why we went this path with VCs right away.
What was the most challenging part in raising a round? First or second? Which one was better,
So
easier?
the first one we still did before, let's say the financial situation changed. Yeah, so it was 1.5 years ago. So that was definitely easier. I mean, it was a little bit different context, of course, with the business angel, and also how to set up the shareholder structure. And yeah, in our seed round, we basically raised it in the middle of the when the crisis started, and that was definitely more challenging than we thought. And yeah, then of course we were very happy at the end that we succeeded in the way how we had planned it, but it was challenging.
Okay, so how did you approach them? How did you show that there is a market? Everyone says start selling before you have a product. Did you do that? And if yes, then in what way?
Yeah, so we started quite early to sell something, so which was, let's say, a data and software enabled service. Yeah, so we provided a service to our customers to sell basically these studies, profitability studies of real estate sites, and we were able to already deliver it within 24 hours based on this data platform that we built up, based on the first models that we created, but it was still a manual service where our expert checked it. And this is with what we started. And I think this was also a good idea to build up early these relationships to the customers, and also to some prominent brands, and that definitely helped then also in the fundraising process.
Right. So about the fundraising, just a bit more. Uh, did you go to people that had some kind of experience in that space, or you just wanted to basically try everybody, whoever's interested?
Sorry, I think I didn't get the
Right.
question. Can you
So
repeat
the
it?
VCs that you went to, did you try and find somebody that has experience in this sustainable urban design and the problem that you're solving, right? Real estate or something in this space, or you just reached out to all the VCs in Germany
Mhm.
or worldwide?
Yeah, so clearly not to all of them. I think that never makes sense. So of course we had a profile. Either we focused mainly on either prop tech investors. So there are some funds that specialize on that, and deep tech investors, and also, let's say, the more general ones. And I would say we had already in the angel round. The cap table was built up with, let's say, expertise from the area what we do, and we also got two more experts as business angel than in the seed round. But the other ones were then more, let's say, tech investors, like the high tech Gründerfonds, for example, that usually invest in deep tech topics.
Okay. All right. So you said you started selling up front, right? So who did you go to? Did you try to um, dip into the network of your co-founder because he's been in the
Mhm.
space for some time, or you just went cold emailing, cold calling, whatever real estate companies out there?
Yeah, so in the very first place, so this is the main let's say expertise of my co-founder Matthias, who does a really awesome job in selling and business development. And in the first place, it was mainly based on the network that he already had. Yeah, so the first clients came through that. And of course, at some point, this, let's say, changed a little bit. And also, let's say, with the seed funding round, we built up a sales team and also got someone for marketing. And yeah, they are doing also an amazing job now. And of course, this has, let's say, much more professionalized and exceeds the original network that we, or especially Matthias, had. And yeah, this is how it developed then. Yeah.
So, as far as I understand, the round that you raised went mostly into hiring, right? So, how big is the team now, and what kind of
Mhm.
mindset do you have when you hire people? What kind of culture are you trying to build?
Yeah, so we have 15 people full time, and for us, the team is by far the most important, and I would say it's the most important success factor. So we have a very open-minded culture, and we are also a diverse team from multiple cultures. We even migrated two people to Germany from abroad that wanted to come over here, and we are very at the very senior level team, I would say. So we have some juniors also, but most of the first hires that we did were very experienced senior people, experts in their domain. And yeah, this is also, I think, something that's kind of unique for a startup, especially in this early
That's
phase. But
true.
in my opinion, very, very crucial, because these people then train also the next people that come in, and they build the foundation. And yeah, so my personal goal is to always hire people that are better than me and my co-founder. And I think we have succeeded with that, and I'm very proud of that.
That's awesome. Like you said, it's very unique. I will bring a bit of my personal experience from a tech startup, and there we also had a dilemma. So, what is better for a tech startup to bring just amazing minds, senior people that know what they're doing, know how to leverage this new uh, software, or just bring as many young, hungry ambassadors as possible, to just start building. So, but I guess it's a very different story because you're building something that's um, a bit more deep tech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ideally, you need both. Yeah, experienced people, but hungry and motivated as a young crowd. So, but yeah, in our case, we lean, let's say, a little bit more towards the senior type of people.
Right.
But
So,
of course, they.
can you share the tips? Like, a lot of founders are afraid of hiring someone who's senior because they've got the experience. You cannot underpay them, right? Unless you have this revolutionary, world-changing idea that they're so motivated to work on it, they are ready to forego this. You cannot really, buzz them around. It's maybe a bit more difficult to teach them. So how do you integrate them into the team, or how do you build the team around. What's your approach?
Yeah, so I think the very first people are the hardest part that you have to convince. But if you go this path that with the senior people, very experienced guys, experts, and also we have really renowned researchers in their field. So if you have the first of those in the company, this is also something that attracts than others. Then they say, "Oh wow, this guy, he's working for site. That must be something." And yeah, of course, at the same time, you must be very convincing about your vision, and also I think we can prove, or let's say at least it sounds reasonable that Matthias and I, with these two different competences that we combine, and also our track record, that we will be able to yeah, do and succeed what we want to do, that we have the capabilities. And yeah, but at the end, it's a very hard job, and consumes a lot of time of the founders, I would say. But it's one of the most important, if not the most important, job of the founders to get a good team.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, a few more questions. And first, of course, about AI. I mean, now everyone wants to slap AI somewhere. Where would it go? It's a buzzword. What do you think about this? What do you think about the democratization of AI? What does it do for you? Like
Mhm.
maybe you've got a story when a VC wasn't very interested at first, but then when you said AI, their eyes started sparkling, or something like that. So, what's your view on democratization of AI and what it could potentially mean for the businesses?
So regarding your questions with the investors, we had raised around right before ChatGPT was released. So the hype just started a little bit later.
Oh,
Maybe it's helpful in the next round. I don't know.
right.
So yeah, it's definitely not only a hype. It's a revolution, I would say, and the opportunities are manifold, and I think it's a very good trend that especially through ChatGPT, this topic of AI, or AI has been becoming accessible by everyone. Yeah, and it's absolutely amazing what we can do already today. How it makes work and processes easier already, and it's just the beginning. So I think it's I'm absolutely amazed by this new development, and I think it will have a big impact for sure.
Oh, right. I think for a lot of people, ChatGPT is AI, and I just started noticing how after this whole hysteria, um, a lot of other startups that use AI and used it for a while before ChatGPT just started popping up and started being a
Mm.
lot more visible, right? And you kind of just wake up and realize, oh, so it's not just ChatGPT. People are actually building incredible stuff with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I completely agree with you. Okay, and another question is, maybe it's a bit too early, but let's try and reflect a bit on your journey that you've already had. It's something that I always ask. What's the so far the biggest win and the biggest failure for site?
Mm, what's the biggest win in the journey building upside, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, so I'm definitely most proud of the team that we've built up. So with that team, we can basically rock anything. I'm also very proud of the customers that we have won. So we have some, let's say, really the most well-known players in the real estate market, like England Völkers. We have the banks like Sparkassen and Volksbanken. We have a lot of brands that I may not name, but which are very big and well known. So this is definitely something we are very proud of. And yeah, for me, of course, as a techie, one of the biggest moment was in December last year when we released our AI directly to our customers. Yeah, so until that point, we were still checking the results ourselves, but then yeah, we basically made it customer facing, and that was, of course, a wow moment for us. And
And
yeah,
for them too.
for them too, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, it has been a fun journey, a lot of learnings also for me personally. Haven't been done B2B. It's different, of course, than B2C. I could reuse a lot of my skills that I learned before, but also learning a lot of new stuff now. So yeah, it's
So
very
what's
nice.
not maybe not the failure of I think it's a bit too early, but a challenge, something that
Mhm.
you couldn't maybe estimate at first to be so difficult.
Yeah, so when we founded Site, it was before the financial situation changed, and also let's say right before the real estate market started to change. Yeah, so when we started, our product was built mainly for this use case of new buildings. Yeah, but for example, the market of new buildings has been going down, I think 75% in the last quarter. And also coming up all these new topics regarding sustainability and yeah, the rising interest rates that impacted the market heavily made us to yeah, I wouldn't call it pivot, but we had to adapt a lot to these new market um, requirements and changes, and also the market itself. They a lot of companies in the first place when this happened were dealing and focusing on themselves because they were facing challenges. And now we can experience that it changed a little bit. They are looking for again more for yeah, solutions like Side. They realize that they have to do something. But yeah, I would say this drastical change in the economic situation, and especially in the building and real estate industry, that was not foreseeable and was the biggest challenge for sure.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it. I think the last year just kind of rocked everyone's world. So, completely agree with you. Okay, and I guess one more question will be again back to AI. So, what was your uh, biggest aha moment, like a learning um, thing that you would want to share with everyone who considers adding AI
Mhm.
to their business?
Oh yeah, I think I have a very good one. So I think the explainability of the results, this is something that we completely underestimated in the beginning, and also we still have to put a lot of work on. So basically, we are giving our customers numbers for, let's say, the floor space that you can build on the property. But we know the numbers are really, really good. Yeah, they are very accurate. But this alone is not enough. You have to build up this trust. Yeah, the customer needs to trust the AI, and it's much harder for a human to trust a machine than another human or an expert in particular. And I think this is something you have to yeah, implement in your product and also in your tech strategy early on, that yeah, you give these measures of explainability, for example, visualizing things or explaining how this is calculated. For example, pointing to other properties next to it. So the neighbor has 2 stories more. So this is why it's likely that you are also allowed to build 2 stories more. And these kind of things is definitely something I would say you have to consider when you build an AI product.
Right. Okay. So again, this is not the first one. Actually, I had another founder who's also working with AI, and exactly what they said. Like, you have such a low trust and such a low um, understanding of what's inside, what it took to give you that answer, right, to create all the data for you. So if it's a person and they make a mistake, you just tell them, well, can you clear that up, and then do some more. But when it's AI, you just say, oh, it's we're not going to use it anymore because it's bad. So I guess you're right, you have to definitely build the trust and just make people used to the fact that now it's a machine, and it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially, I mean, this is can be very challenging because these machine learning algorithms, these deep learning algorithms, they they work. Yeah, we can see that, and you can research it and prove it, but you cannot prove that the algorithms work in a classical mathematical way. Yeah, and it's kind of still a little bit of a black box often. Yeah, there are techniques how to also implement then explainability into the models, but it's often just a black box in the first place, and so it's a challenge, but it's super crucial, I would say.
Right. Okay. Well, David, it was absolutely amazing to learn about what you do at site, and this whole new area for me, to be honest. Um, Super excited to see what you're going to do next and how it's going to change real estate in Germany and maybe the world too.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us here. And yeah, if this caught interest someone, our domain is site.ms, site with a Y. And yeah, so thanks a lot, Anna, and see you
Thank you.
soon.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.